Hey there YouTube, this is Kristen. I wanted to give you a quick update about the Nikki Araguz case and what's going on. The next trial is set for sometime in May. Now, they've had lots of cancellations and lots of rescheduling, so that I don't think that date is set in stone. At the last minute, Ed Berwell, Frank Mann, the ethically challenged lawyers for the ex-wife who's suing Nikki Araguz, had at the last moment said that they wanted to depose, that is, make Nikki Araguz give another deposition, which she did. So here's what the news had to say about it.
New developments in the controversial case of a transgendered widow. Nikki Araguz is fighting for her husband Thomas Araguz's death benefits. The Wharton firefighter died in a fire last year. Well, today Nikki Araguz met with attorneys on both sides for depositions in preparation for the trial in May.
The essence of the case addresses, from our perspective, what we can do to safeguard the long-term financial future of the sons of Thomas Araguz.
I miss my husband very much. I hope this case ends soon and positively, of course, in my favor. The children's benefits will not and are not affected by the outcome of my case.
The family of Thomas Araguz says the couple's marriage was not legitimate because Thomas did not know Nikki was born a man. They want all the money to go to his children.
And here's what was actually said at the press conference.
Discovered it early on and were able to make the transition early on. And I miss my husband very much. I hope this case ends soon and positively, of course, in my favor. The children's benefits will not and are not affected by the outcome of my case. They're completely separate benefits. And so nothing is taken away from the children. I would not do that. And this case is not about taking any benefits. They're separate benefits. The benefits for the spouse and the benefits for the children. So the confusion, I think, in the past has been there was a combination of benefits that Nikki Araguz was trying to prevent from getting the children to have. And that's certainly not the case in any way, shape, or form.
Could you read a portion of that letter?
I will read this to you. Nikki, I am your biggest fan. I have a genuine love for you. I celebrate your successes of your life, your popularity with your church friends, my friends, and most of all, God. Don't forget Trevor and Tyler. I, Thomas Araguz, is so thankful to share these achievements in your life. Thank you for all the positive experiences so far. I know there will be a ton more as we grow together for a successful future. I love you and God bless you. Congratulations, your loving husband.
Why is that important?
He wrote this when I started Wharton County Living magazine and moved my career into Wharton so that I could be a full-time mom and a wife to Trevor and Tyler and to Thomas, and work from home and build up the Wharton community that I still love so much.
Your attorney talked about the ramifications of your case. Can you talk about the bigger picture here and what it could mean either way, your case, for the rest of the country here?
Well, for me, my case, the importance to my case is that I am validating the fact that my husband and I had an honest, open marriage from the beginning. And he knew the truth. And it's important in his death that I maintain the love that we share together. And it not be stolen from me in his death. And that's how I feel.
I think it's been questioned, called out.
It's certainly been questioned, and with evidence that's presented in this case and has already been out. Carolyn Bosma's statement recognizing that Thomas had attended appointments with me and my physician discussing both the surgery and my other medical conditions. And so for me, it's the validation that my marriage was real. And, the love that Thomas and I share together for those boys, that family, was very real, and it can't be taken away. Now, the repercussions as a result for the rest of the country, or at least if the rest of Texans in similar circumstances as mine, I hope that they attain the equal rights that we all deserve.
Can you tell us a little more about the birth certificate you just showed us? Did you just recently receive that? Did you have that all along? It shows that you were born a female. Can you kind of explain how that came in?
Absolutely. Actually, I was on my way to California to have that amended the day that Thomas was tragically killed. And so I was already headed there to take care of this prior to. The day I got the phone call that he had been in the fire, I immediately came back. So that explains why the next day, 4 days after I was served, I immediately went to finish taking care of the business I was on my way to take care of.
And by amended, you mean?
They don't amend. They void your birth certificate, void it, it's gone, no longer in existence.
Okay.
And the only valid birth certificate is this birth certificate here.
So they amended the original.
And there is no record, that's right. The only records of that now exist in the hands of these attorneys who want to continually say that that is my identifying birth certificate. But according to state law, which other states must recognize, the state of California recognizes Nikki Page Purdue as female.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you, Nikki, is this birth certificate it is the only legal document recording your birth. Any other document that's been bandied about has no legal merit. It's worthless as a document, and this is the only valid birth certificate or certificate of your birth that the judge can look at.
That any state, the state of California and any other state that abides by mutual state laws, it's the only valid certificate for my birth, yes. Thank you all. This has been a very, very difficult 8 months. And I pray for the children and Heather and Simona all the time. I pray for peace for the entire Araguz Rodriguez family. My family, my parents, my brother and sister, my nephews, our friends, we've all lost our friend, our brother. The little kids lost their friends, their cousins. It's been damaging to a wide variety, our whole family, my family, his family, because we spent Thanksgivings and Christmas, and there were no secrets, out there.
Some of you might remember at the beginning of this, if you can remember the other side, you remember the other side was all about, oh, the transgender person is dishonest because, all transgender people are dishonest. If they haven't transitioned, then they're lying about who they are. And if they have transitioned, well, then they're lying about who they were, right? Okay, so that was the operating premise. And Lisa Falkenberg summed up this idea just beautifully in the Houston Chronicle. And she went on and on and on about how horrible Nikki was. And she just ate up every untruth the other side was spreading in the media. She kind of rounded out her rant by saying the following.
Far from behaving like the grieving widow, Longoria said Nikki showed up at her house and that of Thomas's grandmother the day after the funeral, demanding Thomas's gun and truck. Longoria said Thomas's father handed over the 9mm Glock, but the family wasn't in possession of the white Dodge pickup. Nikki acknowledged to me having sought these items, saying that as Thomas's wife, she was entitled to his property. That might be, but demanding those things from a mother who'd buried her only son the day before shows us where Nikki's priorities were that day.
Remember that every claim they had made originally has been proven false. Now here's this truck claim, where you have them telling a reporter that it's not Nikki's truck, that they don't know where it's at, and that Nikki's acting all crazy. Well, as it turns out, apparently Nikki, it was Nikki's truck, and apparently it magically disappeared from Nikki's home. And Nikki was correct in surmising that the family had taken the truck after her husband died. And yes, Nikki did go over there and ask for it back. How dare she, right? Well, the judge just recently ordered the family to return the truck because they have it and it's Nikki's truck. So, again, going to character, you have this one side where they have just demonstrably lied to the media. They don't know where the truck is when, in fact, it turns out the judge found out that the family had it. Oh, it's not Nikki's truck. But then the judge finds out that it was, in fact, Nikki's truck. So I'm going to leave a link in the description so that you can, check out this article. The other thing was, the other side was banding about a birth certificate. It was a photocopied birth certificate, right? And they were holding that out in the media saying, this is her birth certificate. This is a legal document. And according to Littleton versus Praying, whatever is on your birth certificate is what you are. Well, it turns out that piece of paper that they were throwing around wasn't actually her birth certificate. Her actual birth certificate, which is here, shows that she was female. This is a birth certificate issued by the state of California. The other side contends that because this is a reissued birth certificate, now there's a difference between a corrected or an amended birth certificate and a reissued birth certificate. A reissued birth certificate is whenever a state destroys the original document. It no longer exists, it has no legal validity, and the state reissues the birth certificate. And so this is Nikki's only valid birth certificate. It's the only one in existence. The one that they're caring about has no legal recognition at all. Not by the state of California. It's not worth anything. And unless they're going to argue that the state of Texas should just arbitrarily stop recognizing other states' birth certificates, well, then they have a problem now, don't they? Now, another thing that I want to talk to you about is Frank Mann and Ed Berwell. You remember the ethically challenged lawyers that I've been telling you about who are fighting to have Nikki Araguz's death benefits taken away from her. As you've seen, they went on Fox and they proclaimed that it's just about the children. They're fighting for the children. It's about the children. And as you also saw that Nikki made it clear that the children's death benefits are not, there's no question about that. The children are getting their death benefits. Every time I see Ed makes a point of pulling me aside and in a jocular way reminding me that I made a YouTube video in which I put a butt on his head. Every single time I see him. Every single time. So, Ed, I know you're going to watch this. When I put that ass on your head, it's because I think you are acting like an asshat. My value system would not allow me to try to destroy people's lives. You claim to believe the exact opposite of what you're fighting for. And yet you're putting all of this time and effort into ensuring that people like me are relegated to second-class citizenship. And I don't understand why that's not causing some cognitive dissonance for you. Because I know it would for me. I'm glad I'm not in your shoes. I'm glad that I get to fight the righteous fight. I'm glad that I'm going to be on the right side of history. I feel bad for you. I think it's pretty sad that you're willing to sell out your values for a buck. You know, and whenever I see you in person, that's what's going through my head. I'm thinking, now I remember you telling me that you support gay rights and trans rights. And yet you sit here and you smear Nikki. You say all these things that have been demonstrably false in the media. And you fight so hard to ensure that someone like me will never have the same rights as someone like you. You know, does that keep you up at night? Does that ever bother you? Because I don't understand. You know, you're trying to claim that Nikki is in fact a man, and that I am in fact a man. That's what you're trying to legally prove. You're trying to say that Nikki's marriage meant nothing. And like I said, I just don't get it. I don't understand how that's okay with you. I just don't understand.